Hi everyone. Today in this video, I'll be showing you an easy method to remember the double entry accounting system. Okay, so let's look at the basic accounting equation. So basic accounting equation is as follows. Assets equals equity plus liabilities. So this is the basic accounting equation. So if you want to understand further how this equation is derived, I made a separate video on that, so you can click the above link to watch that video. Okay, so this equation we can further expand in this way. So if you want to expand this equation, so assets equals equity plus profit plus liabilities. So I have added profit. Why the profit is added? Because profit belongs to the owners. Therefore, you should add the profit to the equity. Okay. So further, I can expand this equation as follows. Assets equals equity plus, now instead of profit, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open bracket revenue minus expenses plus liabilities. Okay, so instead of profit, so what I did, I just expanded this into revenue minus expenses. So if you simplify this formula further, so it will be as follows. Assets equals equity plus revenue plus plus into minus will be minus expenses. So I'm simplifying this bracket plus liabilities. Okay. Then to make all positive signs on one side, let's bring expenses to asset side. So if you bring minus expenses to asset side, this sign will become plus. Okay, so therefore assets plus, so I'm taking this expenses to asset side, so this expenses will become assets plus expenses equals equity plus revenue plus, now remaining is liabilities. Okay, so this is the simplified version of the accounting equation. So if you take assets plus expenses, this account will be a debit balance. And if you take equity plus revenue plus liabilities, these accounts will be a credit balance. So that means if you take a T account, so this is the debit side, this is the credit side. Okay, so any assets or expenses, okay, it will be the increase in asset or expenses will be a debit balance or debit entry. And when you take these accounts category, equity, revenue, or liabilities, okay, this account category, okay, for example, let's say equity, either equity or revenue or liabilities, okay. So these account categories, increase is recorded on the credit side, okay. For example, let's say if you take a bank loan, let's say you take a bank loan, okay, for let's say $1,000, okay. So how you will record this? What happens to the accounting equation? So there will be a dual impact. There will be a dual impact on this uh, accounting equation. Okay. So what will happen when you take a bank loan, 1,000, the cash balance will increase. Okay. So which means cash means it's an asset. Okay. In the meantime, the liability towards the bank will increase. So which means the bank loan is a liability. Okay. So on the one side, the asset, the cash balance increases. Okay. On the other side, the liability towards the bank will increase. So how do you record this? If you take a T account, okay, we need to open two T accounts because of the dual impact, debit, credit, debit, credit. Okay. So here cash, here bank loan. Okay. So cash is an asset. Okay. So therefore, any asset should be debited. Okay. So increase in asset. So therefore, you have to debit 1,000 increase in cash. And also, on the other hand, our liability increases. We need to pay to the bank in the future. So therefore, the increase in liability, okay, is credited 1,000. You understand? So this is how you record the double entry accounting based on the dual concept. Suppose if you settle this 1,000, how this will impact on your equation? The opposite has to be recorded. So which means, let's say you settle this balance. So what will happen? Your asset will decrease. Okay. So therefore, you need to credit the asset account and you need to debit the bank loan account. So that will reduce the liability and this will reduce the cash. So this is how you record a particular transaction. Okay. So therefore, the rule is always increase in assets or expenses should be debited. It's a debit entry. Okay. So decrease in assets and expenses is credited. Okay. it should be a credit entry, decrease in assets and expenses. On the other hand, increase in equity, revenue, or liabilities, these accounts categories will be always a credit entry. And decrease in equity, revenue, or liability will be a debit entry. So the basic equation is assets plus expenses equals to equity plus revenue plus liabilities. Okay, so increase in these accounts will be a debit entry. Increase in these accounts category will be a credit entry. So if you switch this equation, if you bring this whole equation to the other side, this will become minus equity, minus revenue, and minus liabilities. And if you bring assets plus expenses to the other side, it will be minus assets and minus expenses. So which means it's a decrease in these accounts categories. So that will be a debit entry, and decrease in assets, decrease in expenses will be a credit entry. So this is the basic accounting rule of debit and credit. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.